Alright, hello you guys, welcome to my channel Urban Locs. It's your girl Kyra, and today we are going to be talking all things apple cider vinegar use on your locs. ACV, apple cider vinegar, whichever you want to call it. I just really want to go over the importance and what it does for our locs and why we should be using it, because I feel like a lot of the times people don't really know the science behind why they're using what they're using. You know, they just kind of go with the flow. So I just want to be able to help you guys understand more why you should be using this on your locs if you are not, and if you are already using it, I would like you to understand why you're using it. So we're going to be breaking down everything from the benefits to the properties to the pH system, the fermentation process, everything that goes into this bad boy, and just really breaking down why it is good for us in the Loc community. We're going to be talking about how to use it as a rinse/detox. We're going to be talking about how to use it before you wash, how to use it during your wash. So yeah, we're gonna go over plenty of stuff today. Get your notepads out. I'm gonna try to put something up here on the screen, that way you guys can actually follow along. I'm a very visual learner, so I like to actually see things myself. So I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity as well. And also, one last thing, timestamps are going to be down below in the description, of course. So if you know there's a certain part that you want to go to, feel free. It won't hurt my feelings. Yes, it will, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and start with the benefits. Now, these benefits, I just want to start with these because I want you to know, what we're talking about today and why we're even gonna bother talking about it. Because if you don't know the benefits, you're gonna be like, why do I care about the actual science behind this apple cider vinegar? These are not in any particular order, so let's just go down the list here. For benefits, we're gonna start with apple cider vinegar removes dirt. It melts away greasy. Hold on. Now, before we even keep going, I also just want to point out we are not going over specific benefits of an apple cider vinegar rinse or detox, which is the apple cider vinegar, the baking soda, lemon juice, and water. This is not the primary focus of the day. We're going to be talking about that later at some point, but we are talking specifically on apple cider vinegar, okay? By itself, just what it has to offer. I just want to make that known. Okay, so let's go back over these benefits. Apple cider vinegar removes dirt. It helps to melt away greasy buildup. It cleans impurities like wax, oil, dirt, debris, scalp deposits, and product buildup that you may experience. It also helps to balance your hair and your scalp's pH level, and we will go over later what pH level actually means, because it is important to know. Okay, so it also can prevent mildew and mold from forming inside of your locs. It helps to kill parasites and bacteria, helps control frizz because it smooths down the hair shafts, and we will go over a little bit about the hair shaft and high porosity, porous, things like that, porous hair, things like that. It also helps to retain moisture. It softens your hair. It calms irritated, inflamed scalp. It encourages hair growth. Okay, helps with dandruff and also helps with hair loss. And the last thing that I have is that it increases the blood circulation. So those are some amazing benefits. That's a nice long list of benefits, okay? Now I want to just go over some of the properties. I believe these are properties. I think they're properties of it, but okay, so we're just going to go down this list too. So some of the properties are that apple cider vinegar actually contains acetic acid, and acetic acid actually helps to kill parasites and bacteria. So, which also makes it antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and antiviral. That is a lot of antis, okay? That's a lot. Apples are full of potassium, malic acid, and vitamin C. So after the fermentation process, which we're going to talk a little bit about as well, the apple cider vinegar actually retains those beneficial enzymes and the nutrients, okay? So all that health is trapped in there, as long as it's organic, unfiltered, unpasteurized apple cider vinegar. Okay, make sure it's organic always. So now that we've gotten the properties and the benefits out of the way, so you know what to look forward to, let's break down a little bit of the science. So as far as the fermentation process, which is how it is made, I'm going to make this pretty simple, but you mix the apples and yeast. And yeast converts to sugar, and sugar equals to alcohol. So, if you even talk to your grandparents, and my mom, I know for a fact, my grandmother, if you don't know what that is, she makes homemade wine, and literally all it is it's fruit and sugar, and you just let it sit, and that sugar turns into alcohol. Okay, so same thing for apple cider vinegar. So apples plus yeast equals sugar, and then the good bacteria mix in there, which helps the fermentation process, which turns it into alcohol, okay? And the alcohol is what turns into the acetic acid. So that is how they actually process the apple cider vinegar. Now let's also talk on the mother. So anytime you're getting an organic apple cider vinegar, well, I just mixed this up so you won't be able to see it. Look closely around the ring here. You'll kind of see where it's like a little dark, and that's because the mother has settled into the bottom of the bottle. So anytime that you use apple cider vinegar, you want to make sure that you shake it up so you can get that mother moving around, because it's always going to be sitting at the bottom. Now what the mother actually is it's like strands of good proteins and enzymes. Yes, so strands of protein, enzymes, and good bacteria. So that is only when you have the unfiltered, unpasteurized, and organic apple cider vinegar. This is where all the nutrients are left into. Anytime you get something that's not organic, it's probably not going to include that mother, which is essential to, you know, the health of the apple cider vinegar that you're using. So if you can get organic, get organic. I know organic tends to be expensive with, you know, certain products, but that's the one thing that I will say about your Locs is if you can really try your hardest to get organic, you want to make sure that you're getting organic oils, get your organic apple cider vinegar, organic aloe juice, organic rose water. Everything should be organic if you can afford to do so. You know, I would never say don't stress yourself out if you cannot, you know, if you don't have the means to do so, it's okay. Do the best that you can, but if you do have the means to do so, then please use organic products on your Locs. Use 100% natural stuff on your Locs, okay? All right, let's not go into a rant. So I'm sure a lot of you guys already have heard of the pH scale. You may be familiar with it, or you may have just heard about it, but what it stands for is the pH stands for the potential of hydrogen. And the pH scale actually ranges from 0 to 14, 7 being neutral. So anything below a 7 on the pH scale is acidic, and anything above a 7 on the pH scale is alkaline, okay? So the normal scalp pH is usually around 4.5 to 5.0 on the pH system. Apple cider vinegar happens to be around a 3. So when you balance it out with the water, which is the 7, it helps to balance the apple cider vinegar and bring you kind of meeting the middle to balance that pH of your scalp and get it back healthy. Because when your scalp pH is balanced, that's when your hair is going to thrive the most, because it's in its strongest, most natural, healthy state when it is balanced. So you will always want to make sure that your scalp is balanced, okay? Anytime the pH is off with anything, it's going to create some issues. You know, as women, if you guys even know, you know, our vaginal health, if your pH is off, you're going to have it, you know, some issues. Same thing with your scalp, okay? So when that pH is at its most optimum level, which is at 4.5 to 5 on the scale, that's when it actually balances the sebum production, and what that means is less oil. So you're not having as much sebum and oil just sitting on your scalp ready to cause buildup, because our natural sebum and oil can cause a buildup if not, you know, cleansed properly, and if not treated, if you're having any type of issues, it can cause buildup. So you want to make sure that your scalp sebum level is always balanced. Same goes with your face, of course. So the last thing that I want to add about the pH system is product usage actually increases the pH balance of your hair / scalp. So product usage actually opens up your cuticles and it leaves them exposed. And what that means is, say if you even have like really high porosity hair, which means that it's hard for you to retain moisture. So if you know you're already having issues with that, like it feels like you moisturize and nothing happens. 5 minutes later, it feels like you didn't even do anything. You could have high porosity hair, which means that your hair shaft, your hair cuticle is open, so it's not retaining that moisture. So product usage does increase that pH of your hair, which opens up those cuticles, leaving them susceptible to damage, okay? So when you lower the pH level of your hair using apple cider vinegar, it closes the hair cuticle, which leads to smoother, healthier hair strands. And the other thing, by closing those cuticles, you're stopping breakage from happening as often, or you're, you know, fixing the issue with breakage. All right, and then one last little section here before we get into how to use The apple cider vinegar is the alpha hydroxy acid portion of this. So if you're not into skincare and all that stuff, you're probably not going to know what I'm talking about. I'm actually a licensed esthetician as well, so I know a little bit about all this, you know, a little bit of something. But an AHA, or an alpha hydroxy acid, is actually a naturally occurring acid, has natural enzymes in there that usually occur actually from fruits and things like that. And what alpha hydroxy acids do is they actually help to exfoliate the skin, the scalp, by removing those dead skin cells, and it increases that cell turnover. Exfoliation is essential when done correctly, because if you never exfoliate, you're never removing that top layer of dead skin cells, so your skin and your cells don't have that chance to renew and refresh and to bring on, you know, a new layer. We shed every single day, you guys know that. So with it being an exfoliator, it helps to reduce inflammation and itchiness, as well as it helps to clear any buildup, anything blocking the pores. So now let's get into the different ways to use apple cider vinegar on your locks. So my favorite way to incorporate apple cider vinegar into my lock routine is with just using a little spray bottle, and I mix this with some water. So I just dilute it. Probably should have used more water in this mixture, but I just like to dilute it, and I just spray it directly on my roots before I wash my hair, and I let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. I wash every 4 weeks, so every 4 weeks I'll go in and I'll spray this. That's it. It's really amazing because it helps to, it's kind of like a pre-poo. You know, if you had loose natural hair before, you would know what a pre-poo is. It's just like a treatment that you do before you wash to either help cleanse it more thoroughly, you know, retain moisture, whatever the case may be. But this is kind of like a lock pre-poo. So spray this on, and I'm telling you, your wash will be a breeze. I don't have many issues with like dandruff, buildup, things like that. I don't really experience that, but I have had multiple people come to me and tell me that they tried this little trick before they washed their hair, and it makes it so much easier. It's like a game changer, and it's so relieving. The other way to use it is actually during your wash. And what I used to do is I would just wash my locks like normal. I won't put anything on first. I just wash like normal. And then after I'm done washing and rinsing, I will go in and I will pour the apple cider vinegar on my locks, and while I'm still in the shower, and I just let it sit for, you know, a few minutes, maybe a song or two, just so it can really penetrate and do its thing, work it out. And then I just rinse it out. I don't wash again. I just rinse it out. Now, the thing I meant to mention about apple cider vinegar in the beginning was anytime you use apple cider vinegar on your locks and your locks are wet, you are going to smell that apple cider vinegar. You will smell it, and it is strong, and some people would feel like the smell is, it's just too much for them to even use. Y'all a little dramatic, but it's not that bad. It will choke you when you spray it. It will choke you a little bit, little particles. But apple cider vinegar is not that bad. The thing is, once it dries, you will not smell that apple cider vinegar anymore at all. And the crazy part is, last year I went to Florida for my birthday for a week. I did my hair, and I did like the apple cider vinegar rinse during my wash. So I did it that way, retwisted my hair and everything. And once it dried, you know, I didn't smell it. But like almost a week later, I went to the pool and my locks got wet, and as soon as my locks got wet, I smelled that apple cider vinegar again. I'm like, dang, really? Maybe I just didn't rinse it out enough, you know, whatever the case may be, which is fine, you know. But bottom line is, anytime your locks are wet, yes, you're going to smell it, but when they're dry, you are not going to smell it, okay? You're really not. So get over it, pretty much. So the last thing is something that we should all know, but it's the apple cider vinegar rinse / detox / soap, whatever you want to call it. And that's where you use the lemon juice, baking soda, apple cider vinegar, and water. Now there's a couple different ways to use it. Some people don't use all that, but those are like the base ingredients. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys the measurements. You're going to have to do your own research on that if you do want to do one of those detoxes, which you should only be doing about maybe once or twice a year. You do not want to do apple cider vinegar detoxes every month, all throughout the year. Like, please don't do that. Once or twice a year. Because the thing about apple cider vinegar, yes, it softens your hair and it makes your hair feel really light and cleansed, but it also is very drying, especially mixed with the baking soda. So baking soda actually draws out residue, making it easier to wash or rinse out, but it strips the hair of natural oil and throws the pH off balance. So baking soda has a pH of 9. Remember, hair is between a 4.5 and a 5. So the apple cider vinegar, which is a 3, it helps to balance this mixture out because it contains the acetic acid, which neutralizes the baking soda and brings the pH level of the hair to its normal range. So it's important to have like the proper measurements and things like that. So if you plan to do one of these detoxes, please do valid research and find out how much you should be using, because I know when I did it in the past, I was just doing whatever, just mixing it up like Dexter's Laboratory, just doing too much, not even paying attention to what I'm doing, just doing anything, you know. But let me finish this process, I'm sorry. So anyway, what you want to do is you want to first mix your apple cider vinegar, fill up your sink, your basin, little inflatable shampoo bowl, whatever you got, fill it up with warm to hot water. Obviously, make sure that it's comfortably hot. You don't want to be burning off your damn skin. Then you won't have nothing to cleanse except for raw scalp, and that's going to hurt. So fill it up with some water, add in your apple cider vinegar, and then you want to add in the baking soda, and then you want to add in the lemon juice, and you want to let your locks soak for about 20 to 30 minutes. So it's best to have somewhere where you can be comfortable, because that's a long time, baby. It's a long time. That's how you do that. And then you want to wash it out with a clarifying shampoo afterwards, so that way you can get all that buildup that was brought to the surface. Use a moisturizing shampoo if you want to after, and then go on with a conditioner or a hot oil treatment or something. But the thing is, after you use that apple cider vinegar detox, you want to make sure that you are thoroughly moisturizing, because if you're not from the beginning, you're going to have, issues. The main goal of an apple cider vinegar detox cleanse is not to moisturize, it is to cleanse and rid your hair of buildup. It's to give you a clean, fresh start. Okay, now the other thing that I just want to point out is there's kind of a couple different methods to do it. So like I said, you can mix everything up. However, this is how most people do it at home. They, mix up all their ingredients however much you need. But I have seen through doing research that a lot of locticians or shops, actual people in shops, instead of doing it by mixing everything up to make like a concoction, I've heard that the proper way to actually do it to where the solution is scientifically the most beneficial is to actually sprinkle your locks with the baking soda, and then you want to pour the apple cider vinegar directly onto your locks, because it creates that chemical reaction which does some shit. During the time when it's doing all that fizzing and everything like that, I believe that's when it's supposed to be working the hardest to get in there and really break down the buildup. But I know doing it at home, especially if you're doing it by yourself, that's probably not the most realistic, just because it's probably going to be a little bit harder than just laying down and just letting it soak. Alright, so that's how you use it. And then lastly, I just have a couple warnings. I know people don't like to take warnings, but please listen to these. So apple cider vinegar contains acetic acid, which it's very rare, but it can cause like burning irritation to some people. So of course, people tell you to always patch test. People don't ever be patch testing, but you should patch test. But just know that your scalp may be, if you have a really, really sensitive scalp, please make sure that you are using way more water to dilute your apple cider vinegar, and then maybe increase from there to more ACV if that's how you feel. But if you have a really sensitive scalp, please be mindful that the apple cider vinegar could be too acidic for you. I mean, even if you don't have a sensitive scalp, it could just not be your thing. So please keep that in mind, okay? Also, make sure that you're always diluting it with water, of course, before you put it on your scalp. I've done plenty of times where I've done straight apple cider vinegar in this bottle, not knowing that I was just not doing the right thing. Now, I haven't experienced any burning or anything like that, but the whole purpose of using this is to balance your skin's pH. So not mixing the water with this is you're leaving this apple cider vinegar at a strong 3, which is more acidic than where your scalp needs to be. So yes, I'm washing it out, but I'm just not doing right. So I want to make sure that I'm mixing this with water from now on, so I can make sure that I'm using it fully, knowing the science behind it in the proper way. So there's that. Also, like I said, you want to dilute it because you don't want it to burn your scalp. That's the same thing that goes with any like natural essential oils that we use. Like if you use tea tree oil, peppermint oil, things like that in your routine, you also want to dilute those oils with a carrier oil usually. So something like jojoba oil, grapeseed oil, coconut oil, those are carrier oils. So dilution is very important when it comes to what you're putting on your scalp and your skin. The last little warning that I have is for freshly dyed or bleached locks. Now, I did this multiple times during my last set. Like I'm telling you guys, like I think there was one time where I had dyed my hair and like 2 days later, I did an apple cider vinegar rinse. First of all, it's gonna take all the color out that you just did, like because it's there to cleanse, so it's gonna take all the color out. And then secondly, it's gonna dry the hell out of your hair, because for one, you just dyed it or you just bleached it, which is already damaging and drying usually, especially if you're bleaching usually. But then you go in and you're gonna strip with the baking soda and the apple cider vinegar after, baby, that's a setup for failure. Okay, so that's the last warning. Please do not do that. You want to make sure that you give it plenty of time in between dyeing or bleaching your locks and doing the apple cider vinegar rinse. So this is the Bragg's apple cider vinegar brand. This is usually the only brand that I ever get. It lasts for a long time. Like I've had this for a while and it don't expire until 2025. Unpasteurized, raw, unfiltered. So we got Patricia Bragg and Paul Bragg up here. They got the PhDs. So they knew what they was doing with this, y'all, but I would just recommend this brand. The only ingredients in here are organic apple cider vinegar and water. That's it. All right. So you guys, I know that was probably a lot of information. Hopefully that helped you guys understand why we should be using apple cider vinegar or ACV on our lock. It is a very beneficial ingredient. Please remember that not everything is for everybody though. So it may not be the best for you. Make the best decision for yourself. You can drink it. You can use it on your hair, your scalp, obviously, as we just talked about. Ladies, you can actually use it to balance your vaginal pH. Like if you're having some issues, you can pour a little bit in the bathtub and soak in it, and it'll help to balance you up. You can use apple cider vinegar for a lot. It is amazing. It's very beneficial and it's natural, which is the best part about it. Yeah, if you haven't already, get you some, baby. Get you some of this good stuff. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below in the comments if you like to use apple cider vinegar in your routine, and let me know how you like to use it, okay? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you for the next video.